Your soulmate may enter your life sooner than you think. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this fictional, faith-inspired story begins on a day that looked completely ordinary, yet quietly marked the beginning of a brand new chapter. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. There are moments in life when nothing seems to be happening on the surface, while beneath the surface, everything is slowly being prepared. Your soulmate had no idea that the season of waiting was coming to an end. They simply continued living one day at a time, believing that every lesson, every challenge, and every unanswered prayer was shaping them into the person they were meant to become. What they could not yet see was that every faithful step was leading them closer to a meaningful new beginning. For many months, your soulmate had carried a quiet hope inside their heart. They had stopped chasing perfect timing and started focusing on becoming a better person. Instead of asking why certain doors had remained closed, they began asking what every season was teaching them. That simple change transformed everything. Their patience grew stronger. Their kindness became more genuine. Their faith became steadier during uncertainty. They realized that true preparation is not about waiting for life to change overnight. It is about allowing your own heart to grow day by day. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. One peaceful morning, your soulmate opened their journal and began reading old pages they had written during difficult seasons. Those pages were filled with fears, questions, and prayers that once felt unanswered. As they continued reading, a smile slowly appeared across their face. They realized they were no longer the same person who had written those words. Every disappointment had taught resilience. Every delay had developed patience. Every unexpected turn had strengthened their character. Looking back, they quietly whispered, "The answers didn't always come the way I expected, but they helped me become someone stronger than I ever imagined." Listen carefully. This changes everything. Later that afternoon, while taking a quiet walk through a peaceful park, your soulmate noticed families laughing together, friends encouraging one another, and strangers showing unexpected kindness. Those ordinary moments reminded them that life's greatest blessings often arrive quietly rather than dramatically. They understood that genuine love is built through trust, respect, compassion, and consistent acts of kindness. Instead of feeling discouraged by the waiting, they became thankful for the opportunity to continue growing. Their heart no longer measured time by how long they had waited. It measured life by how much they had learned. Meanwhile, your own journey had also been preparing you in remarkable ways. The seasons of uncertainty had taught you courage. The moments of disappointment had deepened your compassion. The waiting had strengthened your faith and helped you discover peace that no circumstance could take away. You had learned to appreciate simple blessings, to encourage others without expecting recognition, and to move forward with quiet confidence even when the future remained unknown. Without realizing it, your character had become stronger than ever before. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. As evening settled across the sky, your soulmate reflected on how different life felt compared to only a year earlier. They no longer feared tomorrow because they had learned that every season carried purpose. They realized that some chapters are meant for learning, others for healing, and others for building the wisdom needed for whatever comes next. Every experience had quietly prepared them for opportunities they could not yet see. Their greatest victory was not reaching a destination. It was becoming someone capable of walking through every season with integrity, humility, and hope. Don't skip because this changes everything. Before going to bed, your soulmate opened their journal one last time and wrote, "If a beautiful new chapter is ahead, let me enter it with a grateful heart, honest intentions, and the courage to love with kindness and wisdom. Let me never forget the lessons that shaped me during the seasons of waiting." As they closed the journal, an overwhelming sense of peace filled the room. They understood that while they could not control tomorrow, they could faithfully live today with hope, compassion, and trust. My beloved child, don't skip because the next chapter will reveal the unexpected moment when two separate journeys begin moving toward one another through ordinary events that neither heart could have planned. A simple encounter, an honest conversation, and one quiet decision will become the beginning of a season filled with growth, gratitude, and hope, proving that life's most meaningful blessings often arrive gently, exactly when two hearts are ready to receive them. The day everything quietly began to change ****. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this chapter begins on a morning that appeared completely ordinary, yet it carried the beginning of something neither heart could recognize at first. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. Your soulmate woke before the sun had fully risen and sat quietly beside the window as the first golden light filled the sky. The silence no longer felt empty. Instead, it felt peaceful. For the first time in many months, they stopped asking when life would finally change and started thanking God for how much they had already grown. They realized that the greatest miracles often begin inside the heart long before they become visible in everyday life. The morning passed slowly, giving them time to reflect on every season they had walked through. They remembered the nights filled with uncertainty, the moments when they almost gave up, and the quiet prayers whispered through tears when no one else was around. Looking back, they noticed something remarkable. Every difficult chapter had taught them something they could never have learned during easier times. Patience had been born through waiting. Compassion had grown through disappointment. Wisdom had developed through mistakes. Their heart overflowed with gratitude because they finally understood that nothing had been wasted. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. Later that afternoon, while walking through a peaceful park, your soulmate noticed something that captured their attention. A little child had fallen while learning to ride a bicycle. Instead of giving up, the child stood back up with determination while a loving parent encouraged them from nearby. Watching that simple moment touched your soulmate deeply. They realized that life often asks us to stand up one more time than we fall. Growth is not measured by avoiding failure. It is measured by the courage to continue moving forward with hope. That ordinary scene became an unforgettable lesson they carried with them for the rest of the day. Listen carefully. This changes everything. As they continued walking, they found a quiet bench beneath a large tree and opened their journal once again. They slowly read the earliest pages, remembering how afraid they had once been of the unknown. Then they turned to the newest pages and saw words filled with hope instead of fear. They smiled because they realized that every prayer had been answered in a surprising way. They had asked for an easier life but received greater strength. They had asked for certainty but discovered deeper faith. They had asked for immediate answers but found lasting wisdom instead. Meanwhile, your own journey continued moving forward with quiet confidence. You had stopped measuring your happiness by circumstances beyond your control. Instead, you found joy in becoming someone who lived with honesty, compassion, and gratitude. Every challenge had refined your character rather than hardening your heart. Friends admired your calm spirit. Family noticed your quiet resilience. Even strangers were encouraged by your kindness without knowing the journey that had shaped it. The seasons of waiting had transformed you into someone who carried peace wherever you went. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. As evening approached, your soulmate received an unexpected invitation to spend time with a close friend they had not seen for many months. Their conversation was simple, yet filled with meaningful reflections about life, hope, and personal growth. At one point the friend smiled and said, "Sometimes we're so focused on reaching the next chapter that we fail to notice we've already become the person we prayed to be." Those words settled deeply within your soulmate's heart. They realized that the greatest blessing wasn't waiting somewhere in the future. It had already begun through the transformation taking place inside them every single day. Don't skip because this changes everything. That night, before going to sleep, your soulmate stood beneath a sky overflowing with stars and whispered a quiet prayer. "Thank you for every lesson that strengthened my faith. Thank you for every delay that taught me patience. Thank you for every challenge that built my character. Above all, thank you for reminding me that hope never disappears when I continue walking with honesty, kindness, and trust." As they finished praying, an overwhelming sense of peace filled their heart. They no longer feared tomorrow because they knew they had already survived every season that once seemed impossible. Before turning off the light, they opened their journal one final time and wrote, "Today I realized that beautiful beginnings rarely arrive with loud announcements. They begin quietly, one faithful decision at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one prayer at a time, and one hopeful sunrise after another." They closed the journal with a grateful smile, completely unaware that the next chapter of their life was already beginning to unfold in ways they could never have planned. My beloved child, don't skip because the next chapter will reveal the unexpected encounter that gently brings two separate journeys closer together. A simple moment, an honest conversation, and a quiet act of courage will remind both hearts that life's greatest blessings often arrive when we stop chasing perfect timing and simply choose to walk faithfully, lovingly, and gratefully through each new day. The unexpected moment that felt like a new beginning. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this chapter begins on a day that neither of you expected to remember. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. The morning arrived with gentle rain, washing the streets clean and filling the air with a quiet sense of renewal. Your soulmate stepped outside without realizing that this ordinary day would leave a lasting impression on their heart. They weren't searching for extraordinary signs anymore. Instead, they had learned to appreciate the beauty hidden inside ordinary moments. That simple change in perspective had already begun transforming the way they experienced life. As they walked through the city, they noticed how every person seemed to be carrying a story no one else could fully see. Some smiled while hiding difficult battles. Others quietly encouraged those around them without expecting recognition. Watching these moments reminded your soulmate that kindness is never wasted. Every encouraging word, every patient response, and every act of compassion becomes part of someone's journey, even when we never see the results. They silently promised themselves that no matter what tomorrow held, they would continue choosing kindness because love is most powerful when it is lived consistently rather than spoken occasionally. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. Later that afternoon, an unexpected opportunity appeared through a simple invitation to attend a community gathering. At first your soulmate almost declined, believing they needed another quiet evening alone. But something inside gently encouraged them to step outside their routine. They accepted the invitation without knowing why. Looking back later, they would realize that some of life's most meaningful chapters begin with one small decision to say yes to something unfamiliar. Listen carefully. This changes everything. During the gathering, conversations flowed naturally. There was laughter, encouragement, and stories of hope shared among people from different walks of life. Your soulmate found themselves listening more than speaking, appreciating the honesty of those around them. One person shared how a season of disappointment had eventually become the foundation for their greatest personal growth. Another spoke about learning patience through years of uncertainty. Every story carried the same quiet message: difficult seasons do not have the final word. They often become the beginning of something stronger and more beautiful than we first imagined. Meanwhile, your own journey continued unfolding in equally meaningful ways. You had grown comfortable with living one day at a time instead of worrying about every unanswered question. Your confidence no longer depended on everything going according to plan. It came from knowing that your character had been shaped through perseverance, honesty, and compassion. You had become someone who encouraged others simply by remaining steady during life's changing seasons. Without realizing it, your quiet strength had become one of your greatest gifts. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. As the evening drew to a close, your soulmate stepped outside beneath a sky painted with the colors of sunset. The world seemed unusually peaceful. They reflected on how different life felt compared to only a year earlier. They no longer carried resentment toward difficult chapters. Instead, they felt thankful for every lesson that had refined their heart. Every setback had strengthened resilience. Every unanswered prayer had deepened faith. Every season of waiting had taught them to value growth more than immediate results. Don't skip because this changes everything. Returning home, your soulmate opened their journal once again and began writing with a calm heart. Today I discovered that hope often arrives quietly, they wrote. It doesn't always come through dramatic moments. Sometimes it grows through simple conversations, unexpected kindness, and ordinary days that slowly change who we are. As they continued writing, they realized they were no longer afraid of the future. They had learned that peace comes from faithfully living today instead of constantly worrying about tomorrow. Before closing the journal, they paused for one final reflection. If tomorrow brings new opportunities, they wrote, may I welcome them with humility. If tomorrow brings challenges, may I face them with courage. If tomorrow brings unexpected blessings, may I receive them with gratitude. And no matter what tomorrow holds, may I continue becoming someone who reflects kindness, patience, and hope. They gently closed the journal and smiled, knowing that the journey ahead did not require perfection, only a willing heart that continued growing one faithful step at a time. My beloved child, don't skip because the next chapter will reveal the unforgettable turning point where two journeys, quietly shaped through faith, healing, and perseverance, begin moving closer through an unexpected encounter that neither heart could have planned. What begins as an ordinary conversation will become a reminder that the most meaningful chapters in life often start with simple acts of courage, genuine kindness, and hearts prepared by every season that came before. The encounter that changed two hearts forever. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this chapter begins on a quiet morning when neither of you realized that life was gently bringing two separate journeys closer together. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. The sunrise arrived softly, painting the sky with warm shades of gold and orange, and your soulmate stepped outside with a heart that felt lighter than it had in years. They no longer carried the burden of trying to control every outcome. Instead, they had learned to trust that every season, whether joyful or difficult, had been preparing them for something meaningful. Every lesson, every prayer, and every act of perseverance had slowly transformed them into someone who could appreciate life's quiet miracles. As they walked through familiar streets, they noticed how different the world looked when viewed through grateful eyes. The gentle breeze, the laughter of children playing nearby, and the kindness of strangers greeting one another reminded them that hope often hides inside ordinary moments. They realized that they had spent too much of their life waiting for extraordinary signs while overlooking the beauty already surrounding them. Their heart whispered, "Maybe the greatest blessings arrive so quietly that we only recognize them after they have already changed us." That single thought stayed with them throughout the entire day. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. Later that afternoon, circumstances led your soulmate to a place they had almost decided not to visit. It wasn't part of their original plans, but something inside encouraged them to go anyway. They trusted that quiet feeling without fully understanding why. Looking back later, they would realize that many life-changing moments begin with one simple decision that seems completely ordinary at the time. Sometimes a different road, a delayed appointment, or an unexpected invitation becomes the beginning of a brand new chapter. Listen carefully. This changes everything. While spending time there, your soulmate noticed someone showing genuine kindness to another person without expecting recognition. That simple act deeply touched them. It reminded them of the values they had been trying to build within themselves: patience, compassion, humility, and generosity. They realized that true character is revealed not during extraordinary moments but through everyday choices that no one else may ever notice. They quietly prayed, "Help me become someone who leaves every place a little brighter than I found it." Meanwhile, your own journey continued with the same quiet faithfulness that had carried you through every difficult season. You had learned to appreciate progress instead of perfection. You no longer feared unanswered questions because you understood that wisdom often grows during seasons of waiting. Every challenge had strengthened your resilience. Every disappointment had deepened your compassion. Every unexpected turn had reminded you that hope remains alive whenever we continue choosing kindness over bitterness and faith over fear. Without realizing it, your peaceful spirit had become an encouragement to everyone around you. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. As evening approached, your soulmate found a quiet place to reflect on the events of the day. They opened their journal and slowly began writing about everything they had experienced. Today reminded me that I don't need extraordinary miracles to know that life is moving forward, they wrote. Every conversation teaches something. Every act of kindness leaves a mark. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to become a better person. Reading those words filled them with gratitude because they realized they were finally living with peace instead of pressure. The evening sky slowly filled with stars, and your soulmate stood outside for a few quiet moments before returning home. They reflected on how every difficult chapter had prepared them for this season of calm confidence. They no longer wished to erase the past because they understood that every challenge had contributed to their growth. The waiting had produced patience. The uncertainty had produced wisdom. The setbacks had produced resilience. Looking toward the heavens, they quietly whispered, "Thank you for showing me that the journey itself has always been part of the blessing. Don't skip because this changes everything." Before closing their journal for the night, they wrote one final reflection across the page. "If tomorrow opens a new door, may I walk through it with courage. If tomorrow asks me to wait again, may I wait with faith. If tomorrow brings someone new into my life, may I welcome them with honesty, kindness, and gratitude. Whatever tomorrow holds, let my heart remain humble enough to keep growing." They gently closed the journal, completely unaware that the next sunrise would begin a chapter unlike anything they had imagined. My beloved child, don't skip because the next chapter will reveal the unforgettable conversation that begins when two hearts, shaped by patience, faith, and personal growth, finally discover that every season of waiting had prepared them for a connection built not on fear or uncertainty, but on trust, compassion, hope, and genuine love. What begins next will become the turning point that changes both journeys forever. The conversation that neither heart was expecting. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this chapter begins on the morning after two separate journeys unknowingly moved one step closer together. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. The sunrise arrived quietly, covering the sky with soft golden light as your soulmate opened their eyes with a peace they had never experienced before. Nothing around them appeared different, yet everything inside them had changed. The fear that once filled every decision had slowly been replaced by quiet confidence. They no longer believed they had to force every door open or understand every unanswered question. Instead, they trusted that every season had prepared them for exactly where they were meant to be. As they prepared for the day, they found themselves reflecting on the countless moments that had shaped their heart. They remembered nights when they had questioned their purpose, mornings when hope felt distant, and seasons when they believed they were walking alone. Looking back now, they realized they had never truly been abandoned. Every delay had strengthened their patience. Every challenge had refined their character. Every disappointment had taught them compassion. They smiled gently because they understood that the greatest transformation had not happened around them, it had happened within them. The person they had become was stronger, wiser, and far more grateful than the person who had first begun this journey. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. Later that afternoon, an unexpected opportunity appeared through a simple conversation with someone they had only recently met. What began as casual words slowly turned into a meaningful discussion about faith, purpose, forgiveness, and the surprising ways life prepares people for new seasons. The other person quietly said, "Sometimes we think we're waiting for life to begin, when in reality life has been preparing us all along. Those words settled deeply into your soulmate's heart. They realized they had spent years searching for a destination while overlooking the miracle of becoming the person they were always meant to be. Listen carefully. This changes everything. As the conversation ended, your soulmate walked away carrying an overwhelming sense of gratitude. They no longer measured success by how quickly life changed. Instead, they measured it by the peace they carried inside. Every ordinary moment suddenly felt meaningful. Every sunrise became another reminder that hope is renewed each day. Every act of kindness became another opportunity to reflect the love they had learned through difficult seasons. They understood that extraordinary lives are often built through thousands of ordinary choices made with faith, patience, and compassion. Meanwhile, your own journey continued unfolding with remarkable quietness. You had also changed in ways you could hardly recognize. The waiting had taught you endurance. The uncertainty had strengthened your trust. The difficult chapters had deepened your understanding of grace. Without realizing it, your peaceful spirit had become a source of encouragement to everyone around you. People admired your ability to remain kind during challenges and hopeful during uncertainty. The growth inside you was becoming visible through every conversation, every decision, and every simple act of generosity. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. As evening settled across the horizon, your soulmate found themselves returning to the same peaceful place where they had often reflected during difficult seasons. Sitting quietly beneath the evening sky, they opened their journal once more. This time the words came effortlessly. "I used to believe I needed every answer before moving forward," they wrote. "Now I understand that faith often means taking the next step even when I cannot see the entire road. Every season has prepared me for today, and today is preparing me for tomorrow." Reading those words filled them with joy because they finally believed them with all their heart. Don't skip because this changes everything. Before closing the journal, they paused and whispered a heartfelt prayer. "Thank you for teaching me that every delay has value, every challenge carries a lesson, and every season has purpose. Help me continue walking with humility, serving with kindness, speaking with honesty, and loving with patience. If tomorrow brings new opportunities, let me recognize them with a grateful heart. If tomorrow asks me to wait, let me wait with peace instead of fear." As the stars slowly appeared across the night sky, your soulmate realized they were no longer waiting for life to begin. They were already living the beautiful season they had once prayed for. The answers they had desperately searched for were no longer found in certainty but in the quiet confidence that comes from trusting God one faithful day at a time. Their heart rested peacefully, knowing that the greatest blessings often arrive gently, without noise or urgency, and reveal themselves only to those who have learned to walk with patience, hope, and gratitude. My beloved child, don't skip because the next chapter will reveal the unforgettable turning point when two hearts, each transformed by faith, perseverance, and personal growth, finally begin sharing the same path. The conversation that follows will become a reminder that the most meaningful connections are built slowly through truth, humility, kindness, and the courage to embrace every new season with hope. The beautiful beginning that had been prepared all along. My beloved child, don't skip. Listen carefully, because this is the final chapter of this fictional, faith-inspired journey. Stay till the very end because what happened next changed everything. There was a time when both of you believed the waiting would never end. There were quiet nights filled with unanswered questions, silent prayers, and moments when hope felt distant. Yet through every season, something extraordinary had been happening beneath the surface. Every delay had been shaping your character. Every disappointment had been teaching compassion. Every challenge had been strengthening your faith. What once felt like an endless road was quietly becoming the path that would prepare both of you for a meaningful new beginning. As the sun rose on a peaceful morning, your soulmate woke with a heart that no longer carried the weight of fear. Instead of wondering what might go wrong, they found themselves thankful for everything life had already taught them. They understood that true peace isn't found when every question is answered. It grows when we learn to trust one faithful step at a time. Looking back over every chapter of their journey, they smiled with gratitude because they realized that even the hardest seasons had become some of life's greatest teachers. Don't skip because something huge is waiting for you. Later that day, your paths finally crossed in the most natural and unexpected way. There were no dramatic signs in the sky and no impossible coincidences. It began with a simple greeting, followed by an honest conversation that felt surprisingly familiar. There was no pressure to impress one another and no desire to rewrite the past. Instead, there was genuine kindness, peaceful understanding, and the quiet joy that comes when two people meet as wiser versions of themselves. Both of you quickly realized that the greatest miracle was not the meeting itself, it was the growth that had prepared each of you for that moment. Listen carefully. This changes everything. As your conversation continued, your soulmate quietly shared something they had recently written in their journal. I used to believe I was waiting for the perfect day, they said with a gentle smile. Now I understand that every ordinary day was preparing me to become the person I needed to be. Those words touched your heart because your own journey had taught you the very same lesson. The waiting had become wisdom. The uncertainty had become courage. The silence had become understanding. You both discovered that growth is one of life's greatest gifts because it changes not only our circumstances but also the way we see the world. Meanwhile, the days that followed were filled with simple moments that gradually became unforgettable memories. Long conversations replaced uncertainty. Shared laughter replaced old fears. Quiet walks became opportunities to appreciate life's smallest blessings. Neither of you rushed the future because you had both learned that meaningful relationships are built through everyday acts of honesty, patience, respect, and compassion. The connection grew naturally, not because life had suddenly become perfect, but because both hearts had learned how to love with maturity and grace. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. One evening, as the sky filled with brilliant colors at sunset, both of you paused to reflect on the remarkable journey that had brought you there. Every challenge that once seemed unfair had helped shape stronger character. Every unanswered prayer had developed deeper trust. Every season of waiting had quietly prepared both of you for a relationship built on mutual encouragement rather than fear. Looking at the horizon, your soulmate softly whispered, "I'm grateful not only for this moment but also for every lesson that made this moment possible. Don't skip because this changes everything." As darkness gently covered the sky and the first stars began to appear, your soulmate offered one final prayer. Thank you for teaching me patience when I wanted quick answers. Thank you for teaching me hope when life felt uncertain. Thank you for teaching me kindness when bitterness seemed easier. Most of all, thank you for reminding me that the greatest miracle was never simply reaching this chapter. The greatest miracle was becoming someone who could truly appreciate it. My beloved child, remember this as our fictional story comes to its close. Every season carries purpose. Every challenge can become a lesson. Every delay can prepare us for greater wisdom. When we continue choosing faith, honesty, humility, and compassion, we discover that life's most meaningful blessings often arrive quietly, one faithful step at a time. The journey itself transforms us long before we ever reach the destination. As the stars shined brightly above, both of you stepped into tomorrow with peaceful hearts and grateful spirits. The waiting had become preparation. The tears had become resilience. The silence had become wisdom. And hope had become stronger than fear. Together you walked forward, not because every answer had been revealed, but because you had learned to trust the path, appreciate each new day, and cherish every opportunity to love with sincerity. Thank you for staying until the very end. May this fictional story remind you that the most beautiful beginnings often grow quietly through patience, faith, and everyday acts of kindness. Every sunrise offers another chance to become a better person, every challenge holds the possibility of growth, and every ending can become the doorway to a hopeful new beginning. Walk into your next chapter with gratitude, courage, compassion, and hope, knowing that a heart shaped by love and wisdom is one of life's greatest blessings.